The Nissan Pathfinder started its life as a rugged, body-on-frame SUV like a Mitsubishi Pajero Sport, but in the last two generations, including this new 5th-gen car, it's been based on a monocoque platform, meaning that it's become more of a family SUV than a rugged off-roader. But Nissan says this new 5th-gen car, designed by Ken Lee, is supposed to return some of that ruggedness to the Pathfinder nameplate. We won't be getting to test it out today because we are just doing a brief walk around of this car, checking out the interior, the space, and what's on offer in this new Pathfinder and whether or not it moves the game on for the slightly malaised car that it replaces. So we're going to be checking all that out in today's video. First though, I want to chat a little bit about what's under the bonnet because there's only one engine owing to the fact that this Pathfinder isn't really a global car from Nissan. It's made in the USA and it's only really sold in right-hand drive markets such as Australia, New Zealand and some of Southeast Asia. So it doesn't have quite the broad spread of the X-Trail, the Qashqai and the other SUVs in the Nissan lineup, meaning that it has a 3.5 litre petrol V6 carried over from before with about 202 kilowatts of power and 340 newton meters of torque, though it is mated to a new 9-speed automatic transmission, replacing that slightly doughy CVT that was in the previous car. So we'll be getting to try all of that out shortly before the end of 2022 when the Pathfinder officially launches here in Australia. But for now, stay tuned and I'm just going to talk you through all the design elements that I like about this car, jump inside and then check out the boot. So let me know your thoughts on the Pathfinder down below this video, and if you haven't done so yet, we'd also love it if you could hit subscribe to Chasing Cars. The Pathfinder may not be a vehicle that you associate typically with classy design, but the head designer of this vehicle also did the updated Navara Ute and the Murano concept way back in the mid-2000s. And some of the design details in this car that you might miss otherwise include these 3 strakes that reference the original Pathfinder, the body-on-frame tough SUV's original looks, but it's blended in with some nice new Nissan design language. These C-shaped LEDs, you got a little bash plate under there, as you saw probably on the Bear Creek edition of the previous Pathfinder that Nathan Ponchard did a review on a couple of years ago. We've also got these nice machine finished 20-inch alloy wheels, and then this flagship TI also gets contrasting black mirrors and a black roof to sort of lower the visual bulk of this thing. I happen to think it looks really rather good in this red. Not so sure about all the chrome trim, but yeah, it kind of has a little bit of Nissan Patrol big SUV chic about it, and it's really finished off back here by these bulging rear guards that may be overselling what's available from that 3.5 litre petrol V6, but I still think it looks really good, perhaps better than my favorite in this class at the moment, the Hyundai Palisade, but you can let me know your thoughts down below. The big Pathfinder is very spacious in the cabin. It's plenty airy in here with a nice light roofliner and a full-length sunroof in this TI variant to let in lots of light. There's also a nice 14-speaker Bose stereo that we haven't tested yet, but I'm sure will be pretty good when we get to drive this car in full detail later this year. Now, this car does have some different technologies to the vehicles from Nissan, the other SUVs that you might have caught on this channel recently in the last few weeks, namely this touchscreen, which is only 9 inches in size. It's based on the Nissan D platform, which I think may be just slightly behind the latest CMF-C platform that's featured in the X-Trail, so it doesn't have the full widescreen 12.3-inch cluster. It's only got this 9-inch screen. It's still pretty decent though, and really having a go at a car for having only a 9-inch infotainment screen is a little bit harsh. It's got wireless Apple CarPlay, but wired Android Auto, bit of a spec quirk there, and yeah, it works nice, crisp, responsive. Decent graphics up there, a huge improvement from the old screen of the Pathfinder, which was small and almost completely pointless to have in the vehicle. This thing at least feels nice and modern. Below that, like the other Nissan SUVs I've had a look at the past few days, there is a fully featured physical HVAC control section down there, and you've got heated and cooled seats in this car, which is really nice in Australia. It's a pretty hot climate, and as nice as it is to have heated seats down here in Melbourne, when we're up in Sydney on a hot summer's day, you really want that ventilation to cool you down. So that's a great touch and shows that this car was probably developed in the USA, which it in fact was, because they have slightly hotter climates than in Japan. Anyway, I digress. The seats themselves are pretty comfortable, covered in a nice leather appointment here, electrically adjustable. They do have some sort of brown highlights on the side bolsters, but it's not too in your face. Certainly not as bad as the full brown interior you find in the Kluger Grande, one of this car's competitors. It is much more toned down, and the material qualities feel nice, though I will say not quite as high quality as some of the Japanese or the UK built cars, for example the X-Trail and the Qashqai. The leather on the wheel just feels a little bit shinier, but still the leather on the door cards is nice and soft to the touch, plenty of armrest padding, and the practicalities in this car are huge. It's a big vehicle, but it also does good things with that space, starting with a wireless charging pad, nice pair of cup holders here, little spot for the key in front of that, really deep center bin that goes all the way down. You've got even more storage in this little mezzanine level down here. It's rubberized as well, so stuff doesn't slide around. Should add, we've also got USB-A and USB-C ports, so you're both covered if you want to charge your phone. That's great. 12-volt socket as well if you're a little bit more old school, and even decent door bins down the side here. Little touches of sort of aluminiumized material, and then finally the 12.3-inch digital driver's display, which looks nice and crisp and works really well in all of these new Nissan products. So a brief look at the front seat, let's check out the space in the back. If you define luxury by the space on offer, then the Pathfinder is a luxurious vehicle. There's heaps of space back here. Behind my driving position at 6'2", I've got decent knee room, even with a slightly compromised position in the second row to benefit third row occupants, which we'll get back into in a minute. It's still great, heaps of toe room, really good amount of headroom, so it suits tall people in the back here. Now, of course, this TI grade is available with 7 seats. As you can see, we've got captain's chairs here, as seems to be the trend at the moment for these large SUVs, including the Hyundai Palisade and also the Mazda CX-9. They've all kind of gone down this route, and I think it's very luxurious if you only need to carry 4, and also if you need to carry 6, it's great as well. But the Pathfinder will be available with a full 8 seats if you wish as well in the future. When we get more details on that, we'll let you know, but it'll be probably in just the lower grades than this TI. Anyway, what else have we got going back here? Nice soft touch materials up here, integrated sun blinds, always a lovely touch on an SUV like this. Nice soft door pads, decent practicalities as well. And then because we're in these captain's chairs, we have this center console here with even more space, 2 more cup holders. It's also removable if you wish to do so. I guess that might make it easier to get all the way into the third row, though I don't think that's going to be the ideal way to do it. And then finally, we've got our separate HVAC system back here with our own climate zone, 3-stage heating on each of the outboard seats, and these vents here, which are really handy because it means you can direct airflow into the face of a baby in a rear-facing child seat. And that's great. So let's jump into third row real quick. The beauty of being over 5 meters long is that the Nissan Pathfinder is very spacious in the third row here. Even for me at 6'2", I've got actually decent space behind a fairly comfortable position in front of me. We've got a 3-wide bench as well. I'm not sure I'd want to stick 3 full-sized humans back here, but children or something like that would be fairly comfortable. It's also quite nicely finished back here. Yes, the armrests are a little scratchy, but the back of the seat is nice and soft. I've got another USB charger back here, 2 cup holders on either side, and you can see the tie-down points for the boot as well. But yeah, on the whole, this thing's great. You've also got electrically folding second row, so you don't have to put your back out when you're flipping those forward to let your kids out or the adults in the back. You just simply press that little button and it springs out of the way, quite aggressively I may add, but at least it does it for you without having to do any hard work. So let's check out the boot. Around the back of this new Pathfinder, we've got the fresh corporate logo from Nissan, and if in case you forgot exactly what this vehicle was because it looks so different to its predecessor, Nissan has helpfully spelled out Pathfinder in frankly massive font across the back of this thing, very spaced out across the back here, but hey, maybe you like that, let me know. Let's open this powered tailgate here, standard on this TI flagship grade, as it goes up fairly promptly and opens to find a really rather large boot. Even with all 3 rows in operation, there's plenty of space for school bags or perhaps a medium-sized dog. There's also a little bit more of storage under this floor, in fact a lot more storage under there, and that's because the full-size spare tire is hooked up underneath the back of this Pathfinder. So altogether, the boot's pretty decent. You've got a 12-volt outlet, plenty of tie-down points as well, and when you've got the third row folded, it is positively capacious. So the 5th generation Nissan Pathfinder. We're going to have to wait a little bit longer towards the end of 2022 to see how this new 3-row SUV drives. But first impressions are this car has come a long way since the vehicle that it replaces. It looks much better outside, feels much more premium inside with a whole load more tech, both in terms of the cabin and also in terms of safety. Hasn't been rated by ANCAP yet, but we'll find out all of those details in the future. For now, on price speculation, I'd say it's probably going to start around $50,000 to 55 grand, right in that space with rivals such as the Hyundai Santa Fe, Mazda CX-9 and Toyota Kluger, running up to 75 or 80 grand. And if it sits there nicely within that range, then I reckon it's going to have a pretty decent chance of getting some new customers here in Australia. But let me know down below if you're going to be one of those people considering buying the new Nissan Pathfinder with its 3.5 litre direct injected V6, or whether you're going to be looking at one of the other options in this segment. Of course, while you're down there leaving your opinion, I'd also love it if you could hit subscribe to Chasing Cars if you haven't done so already. And as always, thank you very much for watching.